there's something missing still outside of Federico Valverde. He's the one who consistently has been moved around multiple positions, yet still does the job for them. But I like to see him more around that penalty area going forward. You talk about him being one of the best midfielders in world football right now. I don't disagree with you. Everything coming into a moment like that, you need a player who has the confidence, a player who can have the composure, and he has had it more often than any other player. Yep. Game-winning goals, you pointed out there, that's his 5th game-winning goal in La Liga. And he's a difference maker for me, because that's exactly the same as many winning goals for Real Madrid this season in La Liga as Kylian Mbappe. So for me to see that type of a strike and the composure that he had to get that goal, so important for Real Madrid and for the player individually. It's a wonderful, wonderful goal, and he's a difference maker for me. He's a class player.
He really is. I said it in the highlight, and I'll say it again. I think he is the best midfielder currently on this Real Madrid squad. He has shown up in big moments. He does all the dirty work. You don't see him... He never lacks effort. You never see that lacking of effort. He is working harder than anybody into that midfield, and then has these opportunities where he takes them. He has goals from outside the box and game-winning goals, massive goals, and today, none bigger. They needed this goal to stay in the title race. They don't score that goal, and this ends 0-0. Real Madrid is all but done in La Liga, so this was massive.
I don't want to be the one who continually criticizes Real Madrid, but this wasn't anywhere near the performance it needs to be for Real Madrid, especially if they want to challenge at the top of the table, but the goal is the difference that keeps them there. Only 4 points now behind Barcelona. Obviously, it makes it interesting as we go forward here. But at the same time, you need game changers. Real Madrid have needed that over the last couple of seasons, right? You remember when Jude Bellingham first went to the club, 23-24 season, obviously they were tremendously successful. He was exquisite when it came to La Liga and scoring match-winning goals. Jude Bellingham had 7 match-winning goals for Real Madrid. He doesn't even have as many this season. And then you look at Kylian Mbappe, he's got 5 match-winning goals for them. He wasn't involved in the game, so who else do you turn to? Vinny Jr. we thought was going to be the match winner, unfortunately ruled off for offside. I loved his determination in the second half. He really went for it. Really proud performance from him. And you could see his desire, his commitment. He wanted to score that winning goal. Sometimes selfishly so, and I'm okay with that. But there's something missing still outside of Federico Valverde. He's the one who consistently has been moved around multiple positions, yet still does the job for them. But I like to see him more around that penalty area going forward. You talk about him being one of the best midfielders in world football right now. I don't disagree with you. But when it comes to goal scoring and the importance of that type of goal right there, he's done it so many times and so frequently for Real Madrid this season. I don't think you can play a game now without him in that midfield era.
Yeah, without a doubt. You mentioned Vinny, and he gets, was a lot better in that second half. Created a lot of opportunities. Did score the goal that was eventually overturned. No Mbappe. Gives them maybe a little bit more freedom. That's been the chatter, right? Where is this team better if they have either Mbappe or Vinny in the lineup? Did Real Madrid miss Mbappe today? Could they have maybe had an easier job of this game if Mbappe's on the pitch? Even though we've seen that some of these guys maybe play a little bit better when they're on their own on the pitch.
Athletic Bilbao played very well defensively. They didn't really offer much going forward. In fact, they were very disappointing going forward. I wanted to see a little bit more from them. They had 26% possession of the ball, and it told me that 100% they were sitting back, waiting and inviting the pressure. They had 1 shot on target themselves. So they were playing for the point, which would have been a vital point for them, obviously, in their push for a Champions League spot. In many ways, it would have solidified their Champions League spot next season. They might get it anyway through Europa League. But credit goes out to what Real Madrid do in the second half, because in the first half, I hate the statistic of XG. Can't stand it. Don't know where it comes from. It's a scientist who's out there somewhere in his lab trying to make up the statistic, right? However, XG in the first 45 minutes for Real Madrid was so poor. And in fact, their last 2 first halves have been so awful. Obviously in the Champions League against Arsenal as well. It's been 2 of their 3 terrible XGs in the first 45 minutes across all competitions this whole season have happened in those last 2 games. But then to react, the second half performance, much more instinctive, much more desire. You can tell that Ancelotti lit somewhat of a fire under the players. Also made some good changes. I think Endrick comes on and makes a bit of a difference for them. But you still need those match winners to step up. And when it didn't happen for Vinny Jr., we thought, draw. Right? Yeah. But that goal and the way that Valverde finished it is so special. It is a match winner.
And they need it. I mean, they have yet to score more than 1 goal in La Liga since March 29th. That's poor. And in the last 3 games, including Champions League, also just 1 goal. It allowed up to 1 goal. They got shut out in the first game and just scored 1 goal in the second game of that Champions League. So it's clearly been an issue. They shouldn't be having this much trouble scoring goals with this talent.
No.
And I know they just won a game. I'm not trying to criticize them a bunch here, but All this talk about Real Madrid crashing out of the Champions League, and now Carlo Ancelotti is talking about leaving. Who is more at fault here? Is this Ancelotti? Is this on Ancelotti and the way he's prepared this team to move forward? The reason that they're crashing out of the Champions League and still now struggling to win a trophy this season?
Listen, let's not get carried away. This was only their second victory across all competitions over their last 6 games. That's nowhere near good enough for Real Madrid when you're competing across multiple competitions. Obviously, Copa del Rey final will be excellent to look forward to with an El Clasico final. That's something special, an opportunity to lift the trophy. You're coming up against Barcelona, one of the most informed teams, of course, except for what happened in the Champions League recently. However, they're still through to the next round, and they're still very, very difficult to beat in calendar year 2025. Real Madrid, under Ancelotti, I have sat and listened to many people out there, journalists, of course, in particular on our network, talk about how Ancelotti should just get away with the fact that he had a wonderful season last year and lifted trophies. This season, he has to shoulder some responsibility. If you fail at Real Madrid, every single supporter, every single media member will criticise you. And already what's happening? I think Ancelotti's starting to read the script here. It's been very difficult for him to keep the media members happy, to keep his own supporters happy. I think we're starting to recognise that Ancelotti might be wanting to get one foot out of the door. I'm saying what everyone's thinking. He might be wanting to make his way to that Brazilian job quicker than everybody else expects him to, maybe quicker than most people would want him to, except for maybe the leadership at Real Madrid themselves.
I just think be careful what you wish for. I mean, he is a legend at this club. He's won everything. Yes, it has not been.
Yeah, but there has to come a time for an end, though, right? Do you just stick with Ancelotti because of what he's done in the past? This season, if they don't win a major tournament, a major trophy, you have to say it's a failure.
If they win Copa del Rey, is it a failure of a season?
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
It's a major trophy, yes, and there's some joy to that. But I can still see Ancelotti leaving after winning Copa del Rey. If he won a Champions League, they wouldn't really be able to fire him, would they? Because that's the title that they won. If he won a La Liga title, maybe you give him some sort of leeway to go one more season. But if he doesn't win La Liga and he doesn't win a Champions League title, I can't sit here and say that Copa del Rey is enough for Real Madrid. A club of that size, even though he has tremendous stature and what he has done in the game and what he has done, obviously, in the Champions League for Real Madrid, it's been exquisite. Still, you're only as good as your last game. In my opinion, I think Ancelotti's time is almost done at Real Madrid.
It'll be interesting. It's not easy shoes to fill, and you know it could come in and we have the same exact issues with a newer manager that doesn't have the same level of respect and commands the same level of respect as Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, not many people will though. Yeah. But at some point, all great stories come to an end. They have to have that final chapter. Unfortunately, it's just the way life goes. And for Ancelotti, he's written such an unbelievable story. His history, he will always be celebrated at Real Madrid, as he should. The fans should adore him forever, for eternity. Mm-hmm. Tremendous player as well, by the way. I'm going to throw that out there. However, as a coach, I think he's excelled. He's gone to the next level. He's been a difference maker, and I don't think we've seen anything like it, especially when it comes to the Champions League. Obviously, I read a lot of the German media, and Leverkusen were asked about their boss's situation, and they were told very quickly, the media members, to shut up and not ask that question. And that came from their sporting director, Claro, who just didn't want to talk about it because he knows that that position will become available very quickly. And of course, Xabi Alonso's name will be out there. My opinion, he's a perfect fit for what Real Madrid need. They need some sort of structure. This guy, as a player, also fabulous. Also a winner, and a proven winner now on the stage as a coach. So what he did in the last year in the Bundesliga should be enough to put him in prime position to take over from Carlo Ancelotti. But congratulations on the 3 points and still keeping that title race going. Sorry, you're probably going to lose your job.